Well, good afternoon, or should I say evening. It is a quarter after 5 o'clock. And I know I wasn't going to keep touching base on this coronavirus crap, but I got to do it because it just seems like exactly what I said was going to happen is happening. I said that they're slowly but surely trying to wean us into a total lockdown. And they're going to. Here in Abilene especially, they're already putting people on house arrest, threatening people with big fines, ankle monitors. I mean, this is getting out of control, people. And I'm not talking about the virus. I'm talking about the panic and the enforcement. Okay? We got to be very, very clear and careful about what's going on, because you just can't compare. You know, people are recovering from this thing. It's not like everybody who's getting it is dropping like flies. That is a lie. It is not happening like that. I understand if folks were just dropping dead like crazy. But that's not the case. People are getting it and recovering from it, and sadly, the people that have passed away have predominantly been the elderly people and even younger people with compromised immune systems. This we already know. Okay? We know this already. Now, I find it very interesting that they're calling this thing a pandemic. Where you can't call it a pandemic, okay? It's not a pandemic. When the flu had its first outbreak back in the early 1900s, I think it was like 1916, maybe 1918, something like that. It spread around to literally hundreds of millions of people, and it killed 50 million in 1 year on a global scale. You look at the numbers of that versus the numbers on the coronavirus, it doesn't even hold a flame to it. And they're calling this an outbreak, a pandemic. No, it's not a pandemic by any means, and people need to calm their tits. So, here we have 5 new cases. A person that was in their 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s, 30s. Or not 50s, 20s, but they're all being treated. And here's the interesting thing about it. And this is what's going to cause the panic right here, because people are going to be like, "Oh my God!" Now there's a couple here in Abilene that I'm trying to get in touch with because I want to get their side of the story. There's a couple here in Abilene that refused to quarantine after having symptoms, and then they were forced to quarantine. And I think they even have leg monitors. I know they got police officers 24/7 monitoring their house to make sure they don't leave the house. Now that right there, people, if that doesn't alarm you and alert you, Spanish flu, 1918. Yep, that's right. So right here on the local scale, 5 new cases. None of them have a history of travel, which is going to make it even worse, because now people are going to assume that if they're not traveling around, they're staying locally, they're just going to the grocery store and home, and blah, 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 that everything's going to be all right if they take proper precautions. Now they're going to push the narrative that you don't need to leave your house, period. And before you know it, they're going to have people getting pulled over left and right, and if you do not have documentation that you're on the job, you're going to get a fine or you're going to go to jail. Now, seriously, people, do you think that this COVID-19 is worthy of that kind of enforcement on the American people? I mean, they're pushing this stuff. Now, there's what you're not understanding. A lot of people, they watch CNN. They listen to, American podcasts like these. They look on Facebook and they find these fake news sources and then they, project that as truth. But there's actually an article in the Asian Times, and you guys should look this up. It's talking about how the Chinese are moving in their war fleets, okay, right now, as we speak. As we had to take one of our carriers out, they're putting theirs in, okay? They're moving in on us, is what they're doing. And people forget how much money we owe China. China did, okay, I think people out there worried about racist remarks like Chinese. Okay, well, first of all, I've already put that to bed. Chinese is not a race. So all these people that are shouting racism are more worried about the name of the virus than they are the virus itself, which is fine, because I don't care about either one of them, to be perfectly honest with you. What I'm looking at is what they're not telling you. There's something else behind this. It's not just a virus that's, infecting a couple of dozen people in a state. It has a recovery rate of like 98%, 99%, which is better than the flu. The flu kills far more people. And it will continue to kill far more people. And while they're trying to hone in and push this narrative, push this fear, now that heavy restrictions are coming, they're locking us down, okay? They're going to do it slowly but surely. Everybody thought, for whatever reason or another, especially here on the local level, now I can't speak for everybody else where everybody else is, but on the local level, everybody was only prepared to be out of work for a couple of weeks. Like, okay, well, 2 weeks, that's... Now they're blaming everybody. There's you just have to go to the grocery store. Well, yeah, people have to go to the grocery store. What would you rather us do? You want us locked up in our houses and have the government bring care packages to us? Does that not sound like the end of America right there? You know how bad in debt the world economy is right now? It is horrible thanks to China. We owe China so much money, they're coming to collect. And right now they're capitalizing off this thing. It was also written in that article that it should be called the Chinese Health Organization rather than the World Health Organization. Now think about that. China is wanting to dominate. They want to be the next superpower. And that's what they're mobilizing for. And it could even turn out to be a war with China, which we don't want. China doesn't want it. We don't want it. But we'll do it. And so will they. But that'll be a war it'll be quickly fought and devastating to everybody. You won't even be worried about a coronavirus anymore after that, I promise you. So I want to lay something to, put something to bed. There's people talking about, well, China's going to get Japan and get Russia because American troops won't turn on their citizens if martial law is declared and they do this, blah, blah, blah. Well, first of all, America's not going to use Chinese soldiers to come over here and enforce martial law. They're not going to use Russia, and they're not going to use Japan. First of all, we're allies with Japan. Japan and Chinese, they do not get along at all. They hate each other, so they're not going to put Japanese soldiers and Chinese soldiers on the same battlefield fighting together. That just won't work. All right? Common sense. But people, I respect looking beyond the curtain of the coronavirus, but we have to really think about long and hard. Who had more to lose? And who had more to gain? China sat on that for a month. They lied about it. They told the WHO that they had a handle on things. There was nothing going on. They lied about it. It's documented. It's there. Okay? They covered it up. They allowed all those millions and millions of Chinese people just move around and spread it and spread it and spread it and spread it. Then they tried to blame the U.S. military for it. Okay, we are at a soft war right now with the Chinese, believe it or not. So it could get a lot hairier. But see, they don't want you focused on that. They want you to be very local and to be very isolated. That's what they want. They don't want you thinking beyond the curtain, because just imagine if a war broke out between the U.S. and China. I mean, it would be unlike anything we've ever seen. Now, to a lot of people who understand, that's more terrifying. It is for me. I'm more worried about China nuking the shit out of us and us nuking them back which no one's going to win that war. I mean, it's all about who kills more people, because millions and millions and millions of people will die if that's the case. And it looks like that's what they're planning to do. They are mobilizing warships right now. It was written in the Asian Times. They're covering it. They're talking about the U.S. economy and how it was a perfect way for China to get on top. I mean, they're not even hiding it, people. They're talking to their own people about what they're doing, but CNN's not going to tell you that. You're not going to see anything on Facebook about it, because they're already censoring people. They're already censoring people that are talking about COVID-19. Most of them are people that work in the medical field that are coming out. I know that for a fact. I had been sharing this video, this lady, that she got up there. She's a nurse. She got up there and broke it down. This is the truth. You guys are overreacting. And, of course, that video was going viral. And then now you just can't find it anymore. So I wonder why. She didn't take it down. Why would she take it down? So somebody did. So, guys, you really need to pay close attention to what's going on here and what the big agenda is, because, for one, the idea that they were going to stop the spread of a flu, and I'm just going to call it a flu. I'm not going to call it a virus, because a flu is a virus, and when you say virus, it somehow, in the minds of the masses, just separates it from COVID-19. They're trying to put it into a different category. Yeah, well, it's a different strain. Okay, fine. Every year, the flu mutates. That's why they constantly upgrade flu shots. Okay? There's different strains every year. It comes back, stronger. It kills more people. That's just the way it works. Okay? That's what viruses do. So, I'm not going to call it a virus. I'm going to call it a flu, because that's exactly what it is. I don't care what name you put on it. It's just a freaking flu. It goes around. People get it. People die. That's it. The whole idea that they're about to enforce in certain parts of my state, Texas, man, they're about to force people to walk around with face masks and gloves. Doesn't matter if you're just going to the gas station. If you leave your house, if you leave your property, you have got to have on mask and gloves, and failure to comply will result in jail or a fine. Sounds to me like we're already under martial law. They just haven't officially announced it yet. And as more and more cases are popping up, the enforcements and restrictions are going to get more strict. Okay? You're not going to be able to go to the grocery store at all. They're already, like in Walmart, they've got a barrier going all the way around all those carts, and they're allowing 10 people at a time. If one person leaves, one person can go in. It's ridiculous. And although personally, I hate Walmart. I freaking hate Walmart. I hate going there. I try to avoid it as much as humanly possible, but in a way, I'm not going to complain about that, because every time I go to Walmart, there's always some fat ass right in the middle, talking with their friends that they just, act like they hadn't seen in 15 years. You're just trying to get around to get some cereal, and, I just can't stand it. So I'm not all too that mad about the idea of being able to go to Walmart and hit every aisle I need to hit without anyone getting in my way. But that's going to have a devastating impact as well. We're not going to recover lightly from this. Now, I do like Trump. I think he's done a good job responding to this virus, but I'm more worried about the economy. What's going to happen to our economy? What's going to happen to our monetary system? Are they going to? Because there's already places that are not even accepting cash. KFC, I think, is one of the big ones that are not going to receive any cash from anybody. So they're trying to move it to a digital currency. Nancy Pelosi announced a digital currency that they're proposing. Now, think about it, man. They're moving us into this new world order. Now, I'm not trying to get into conspiracy theories and all that, but anybody who's ever read about this new world order stuff and how it was going to be played out, it's all coming out exactly the way the book said it would. Several books have been written on it, in fact. And so, I'm looking beyond the curtain of the corona, all right? I I don't think anybody's actually ever. I've got tons of people that follow me on social media, and I see tons of stuff every single day, and I have not seen one person talk about China other than the virus. I haven't seen anybody talk about what China is doing right now. China's desperate. They're very desperate. Now, when you have a nuclear power they're not our allies at all. Unfortunately, we need each other on the world stage. One wants to rule the world while the other one already does. Both nuclear powers, and then you get one that's desperate. That's not a good combination, people. Not at all. So that being said, I think I'm going to do some more research on this. I'm going to look up some more articles in the Asian Times, and I'll bring it out here for you guys. But seriously, though, just a few short days ago, we only had 7 cases. A couple of days before that, we had 3. Now San Angelo's up to like 12. I think San Angelo's like an hour away from here. And we're up at 23. And I knew they were going to do this. I knew it was going to happen. I knew they were going to start coming out every day saying, oh my God, it's spreading like herpes, and get everybody all amped up and pumped up and scared, demanding the government come in and do something. I just saw a video yesterday that's going around social media where this gentleman was being forced. He was surrounded by these people in a hospital room. He went to the hospital because he said he was having trouble breathing or whatever. These people show up, and he's filming it with his phone, and they force him. I don't know what they put in him. They held him down. He's fighting them off. He's showing, and just imagine, man. Imagine what the hell they're putting in you. What was it? MSN just did a piece talking about a bunch of coronavirus tests that were going to the Ukraine that were found to be infected with COVID-19. Now, this is mainstream media reporting on this. This isn't like some conspiracy theorist that has a podcast. This is mainstream media reporting that a whole stockpile of tests that were going to the Ukraine were infected with COVID-19. So they're purposely spreading this virus around to get people sick, to blow it out of proportion, to make folks think it's deadlier than what it actually is. And what could be the agenda from that? Why would they want to do that? Well, I can't remember which Rothschild it was, but it said, with the right pandemic and the right crisis, people will accept the New World Order. And that's all they do. They create this. The media spins it out of control. Everybody gets on board with it. It's very disturbing how many times I've gotten on social media and debated with people and said, how many people do you know that actually got it? None. Okay, you don't. Okay, well, I was sick the other day. I know of 2 people that were misdiagnosed. One of them had just a flu and the other one had walking pneumonia. But they didn't even test them for COVID-19. They just said, okay, what are your symptoms? Okay, well, these are my symptoms. Well, okay, that's what you have. You need to go home and isolate yourself, quarantine yourself. Well, they didn't believe them. They demanded a test, and they were like, okay, so they went and got tested. And they turned out negative. Wow, man. That's 2 cases. 2 cases that I know of, that I know for a fact. So imagine what out of all those numbers that are spreading, how many misdiagnoses there are out there. How many people were told they had COVID-19 because of the symptoms and the panic behind it? Telling people that the test is too expensive, just go home and quarantine, it's like, okay, first of all, if you're going to tell someone to just go home and quarantine, it's obviously not that damn serious, right? Wouldn't you? Because every single time I hear so-and-so is being diagnosed, they're now being treated at such and such hospital and wherever. Being treated. But these people, both of them who didn't even know each other, were told to go home. Just go home and quarantine. Now, That's got to be somewhat alarming to people. I mean, it has to be. If it's not, then I don't know what to tell you, man. Anyway, just another one of my rant and raves. I'll get on there and I'll look up some more. Look up some more of what's going on. You know, as China progresses more and more into the China Sea here, looks like they're mobilizing. You could actually look a map up. I mean, you could look this stuff up. They have like apps and stuff in Chinese. You'd have to actually get one of those apps that can translate what it's saying, but you can actually track what the Chinese military is doing. It's funny, and they're actually getting aggressive. Like they're moving in aggressively. So something's coming, and it's not just a damn virus. Okay. So in the meantime, I'm going to sign off here. Jump back on later on, probably do a show as I find something else. I'm sure I'm going to find something else. In the meantime, you guys take care and have yourselves a blessed day.